Good morning, guys. As you can see, we're still dealing with comparing with adjectives, but we do not have any page numbers. Now, pages 150, 151 do talk about comparing with adjectives, but it's actually not in a third grade book when we're dealing with more or most. So you really need to strictly just watch this teaching video to help you out with this and learn, because I think it's important, even though it's really, to be honest with you, it's really fourth grade work, but we're gonna get a head start on it here, okay? I know you've been dealing with comparatives and superlatives, the big fancy pants English terms, but you really just got to understand when you use ER and EST. There's a big robot. Notice big describes robot, right? What kind of robot? The big robot. Oh, the bigger robot still is an adjective. Bigger describes robot, but you are comparing two things. And if you're comparing three or more things, then you use the EST. This is the biggest robot of the three. I don't want to mess with that guy. But at any rate, not always do you add ER, EST. Instead, here comes that twist. You're going to add more or most. Now, most of the time, you're going to add more or most before the word with longer adjectives. Notice this, beautiful. That's 3 syllables, beautiful. Every time your chin goes down, it's a syllable, beautiful. 3 syllables. Anytime there's 3 syllables or more, you're going to add more or most. But sometimes we have a 2-syllable word, active or cheerful. That's when you add more or most. Now, same rules apply. If you can see, I know it's not ER, but at least it's RE. It's close, right? That's when you're comparing two things. I know it's not, what we had here with EST, but you can still see the ST. That's the most. That's when you're comparing 3 or more things. For instance, right here, this is a beautiful bird. Well, this bird is more beautiful. Notice they're comparing 2 things, right? This bird and this bird. Well, this peacock is the most beautiful. You're comparing a bunch of things. You would not say, hey, this is beautifuler. That's just too many syllables. That's why they have the more in front of the beautiful. Or that's the beautifulest. No, it's most beautiful. It's like delicious. You might compliment your auntie or your mommy, say, oh, mommy, this is the delicious meal of all. Your mommy or auntie might say, thank you, but delicious? I can't even say it. Deliciousest? Not a word. Not a word. You would say this is the most delicious. That is still comparing that meal to all the other meals you've had, which is why you use the most. I'm not trying to make fun of little kids at all. But you might hear that in the grammar of little kids, where they might be in the car and say, let's go more fast, more fast, more fast. Now, fast is an adjective, but you say, no, you need to go faster. See, that's when you use ER. We need to go faster than we were before. That's comparing 2 things. You can't throw more and most into any adjective and it's going to work. Nope, just like fast, right? Different things like that. It's not going to work. Just like big. Hey, let's be more big. No, it's bigger. Or let's be most big. No, biggest. Right? So this doesn't work for all of them. Anytime, I can tell you that there's 3 or more syllables. That's good too. Anytime there's 3 or more syllables, you always use more or most. Like this, expensive. There's no such thing as, oh, that's expensiver than that, or that's the expensivest. Again, I can't even say it. They're not words, so it doesn't matter. But that's when you add more or most. But you can, even in the same sentence, use both kinds. Tom's house is bigger than Jim's house, right? Big is a short syllable. You just add ER if you're comparing 2 things. But Dan's house is the most impressive. Look at comparing all 3. That's when you got to use a superlative or EST, but there's no such thing as impressiveest. It's the most impressive. So yes, this can be a little difficult knowing when do I add more or most, but most of the time it's going to be your ear that helps you out. Again, Tom's house is more big. No, bigger. Or, but Dan's house is the impressiviest. No, the most impressive. Right? That's going to really help you out with this. Take a look at this. Expensive. Expensive. Well, that's 3 syllables. I can use more or most. A car is more expensive than a bicycle. Just dealing with 2 things, comparing. So that's when you use the word more. Same here. Now this is just adding ER, right? Nokia is cheaper than iPhone. Not Nokia is more cheap. That's not correct usage. Nokia is cheaper than iPhone. Again, we already went through this. If there's ever 3 or more syllables like expensive, then you always use more or most. So that's what you're dealing with here. Okay, and the biggest thing, they show you some incorrect things here, and they show you some correct ways to use it here. But in all these sentences, you're going to be using more or most. Now, one thing I want to focus on is look at very clearly. This is in the incorrect section, so this is wrong, and they're showing you this. Some people go above and beyond, which in this case isn't right. Its eyes are its most usefulest tool. Now, you're comparing the eyes to all the other tools or all the other, parts of the giraffe is what this is referring to. But notice they put the word most and they put the ending est. That's an error. That's called a double superlative, and that's wrong in the English world. You can't do both or adding most and est. You just do the one, which you can see they did correctly here. Its eyes are its most useful tool. Same with here. The giraffe is more taller than the buffalo. You can't say, well, I can't tell if it's more or if you add the ER, so just do both. No, you can't do that. Correctly, it's the giraffe is taller than the buffalo. Comparing 2 things, it's a short adjective, so you just add ER. Now again, down here, you're always going to add either more or most. That's the only word you're adding here. But you need to figure out, are you comparing 2 things? That's more. Or are you comparing a lot of things? Then most. A giraffe was one of the interesting of all animals. Now again, that's all animals. Comparing a giraffe to all the other animals, so that's more than 3. That they correctly use the word most. Now, is the giraffe the blank unusual creature in the zoo? It's talking about giraffe to every other creature in the zoo. Unless there's a zoo that you know of with only 2 animals, we're talking about a lot of animals, right? So there we use most. Is the giraffe the most unusual creature in the zoo? Okay? Again, look at this. Of all animals. That can really help you out. You talk about a lot. Okay? So this is your assignment, guys. Dealing with more or most with adjectives. And, hey, you got 14 of them. We did a couple in class, or at least 1 in class. And you have the rest to do. Lord's blessings to you as you praise your Savior.